So are we all set?
I think we're good to go.
All right. Episode 6. Avengers. All right. So I'm Mike
Blair Kitchen.
Oh, hey, Blair.
That's what we did it. Thought I jumped the gun. It's going good, Mike Kitchen.
Music is running. Everything's fine. All is good in the world.
Did you make room on your video camera?
I did.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this will be a technical problem-free podcast.
All right.
All right, well, let's get to it, though.
Okay.
The Avengers. And
The
everybody
Avengers.
that's listening in internet land, this is going to be full of spoilers. If you have not seen The Avengers yet, you may want to skip over this, because we're going to talk about everything and anything.
And by the time this is up, you have no excuse to not have seen The Avengers. It's been out for a week and a half already, for crying out loud.
Has it made 800 million yet?
Oh, I think it made 800 million at the first weekend. No, what was it? 80 million? I don't know. I heard something like that. First day. I don't
That's
know.
a lot.
It's pretty. I think they're gonna make their money back on this one. Is that what it cost to make 800 million?
I don't know what it costs to make, but I know it's made something like that.
Yeah.
Don't make me Google this early in the podcast.
No. Yeah, we're not gonna get into that stuff.
But what did you think? You just saw it last night. I saw it a couple
Oh.
nights ago. What did you
Blew my mind. Yeah, it was great. I loved it. And the best thing, I mean, I mentioned I was going to take my kids seeing it. And the best thing is seeing it with them is, they're 9, 6, and 3, and they all of them loved it. Yes, it was funny. They were my 9-year-old daughter and my 3-year-old son. I mean, they were terrified partway through it. But I go to my daughter. I'm like, you scared? She's like, And I go, is it like a roller coaster scared? She's like, yeah, with a smile on her face. I'm like, okay, good. So she was loving it. Like I think maybe scare's not the right word, but it was so intense that they're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
But
my
they loved
8-year-old son, he was sitting to the right, and there was some other little girl that was sitting beside him from some other family. But the first appearance of the Hulk, when he was going after the Black Widow, just watching them in their seats, jumping in their seats, and then sitting back terrified. You could just see the shock in their eye. But again, it's that good kind of shock. Again, roller coaster type.
Oh yeah, my 3-year-old Nate, he's like, I like the Hulk. He loved the Hulk. He couldn't get enough
Everybody
of that.
seems to be saying that.
Oh, it
Hulk
was
his favorite. I mean, he did have some of the best moments.
My daughter liked Captain America and Iron Man. Those are the two that she was like, that was awesome. And then Jacob, my middle son, I mean, he loved it too. I think he liked everything about it. I don't think there was anything that he I don't know. He just loved the whole thing. So it's good. It's good. I love watching movies with kids too because it brings you back to. You try and watch it through their eyes, kind of thing. And how
Now that's the thing that's been bothering me so much with what DC's been doing with Batman.
Yeah.
Like the last Batman movie was amazing, good movie.
Except I still don't like the Christian Batman.
Okay, that part I don't like. But for the rest of the movie, I thought it was pretty good as far as the movie goes. It was more like a Bourne Identity than it was a superhero movie. But I liked it a lot. And, the Heath Ledger Joker was amazing.
6-year-old or 37-year-old watching it, you get a lot out of it. But as a 10-year-old,
I would take my children to see that ever.
No, not at all.
Whereas with this movie, with the Avengers, it's actually hitting that target audience. And it's the same problem DC had with the whole New 52, where so many of those comic books, aside from maybe like The Flash and a couple other ones, but they're just not kid-friendly. So who are they making these comic books for?
I think that was even before the New 52. I remember getting some comic books of Batman ones from, I don't know, one of the conventions we went to, and there's some of the newer stuff. And, I was letting Jacob read them. My son, he was 5 at the time or something like that. And then all of a sudden I looked at them. I'm like, what the heck is this? It was so, just graphic and morbid, and I'm like, I gotta take those back, buddy, you're not allowed to read those. So now I just play it safe. I get them like comics made in the 80s, old Marvel ones from the 80s. Those are all pretty safe. But But yeah, I found for the longest time, even, well, Marvel not so much, but they even were getting, a little bit, the comics. I mean, yeah. Yeah, and then, of course, yeah, going to see the movie, you see the Batman trailer and the Spider-Man trailer and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's just not, some of the stuff is not for kids.
Did you see the movie in 3D?
No, I didn't. I saw 2D. Yeah.
Okay. The Spider-Man trailer in 3D was pretty incredible.
Was it?
But I can't get over that bloody costume. I don't know why anybody would ever try and redesign Ditko. Because he's got like these weird Nike swooshes all over the costume, and he's got these like Ray-Ban glasses where the eyes aren't white; they're kind of like a black, and it's so strange. And then with the lizard, they didn't go with the. I was hoping they'd go for kind of the the classic lizard look, or even the McFarlane lizard one, where it's almost like an alligator head. And I don't know. And then it's the whole idea, the secret of Peter Parker's parents. I don't really care.
Yeah.
And Eric Larson said something about that with everybody that's trying to redesign all the histories. I'm going to find a street. Yeah. Here we go. Bring up the internet.
All right. I was going to say about the costumes and stuff. That's what made the Avengers so good, is they stuck with the classic look.
I know. With the bright colors.
I don't know about. You can't say classic for everything. Obviously, like Hawkeye and that, like, they've changed them a little bit.
I thought it would have been fun if you got to see Hawkeye with the mask. I thought that would have been fun.
But I mean, as far as Captain America and like, at least they had the colors, the bright colors on this stuff, right?
It looked enough.
More like a comic book, right?
Yeah, it was close enough.
Like with Batman, I want to see, like, I don't know, my classic Batman is always like the Neil Adams or I love the Frank Miller. If you want to go dark, I love the Frank Miller Year One costume, or the Mazzucchelli, or whatever you say his name. His costume, I guess it is, right?
Well, you know what my favorite Batman is? My favorite live-action Batman is the Batman versus Predator.
Yeah.
It's like a fan-made one.
Well, that they used that Year One costume.
Yeah.
It was all gray and black.
Yeah. And he's wearing an actual like fabric costume. I have no problem with Batman getting geared up in all the heavy-duty gear, but there's just something that's...
I want to see a superhero movie, though. Batman's a superhero. Make him a superhero.
I agree.
I like those. To me, still, I mean, the Neil Adams Batman is just the whole feel, the vibe, everything like that is just... I'd love to see something like that.
Yeah. Here's the thing Eric Larson said. Okay. He goes, I think Alan Moore kicked off the everything you know is a lie aspect with Swamp Thing in the anatomy lesson. Guys keep wanting to do that, which led to BS like the Spider seeking out Peter Parker and Aunt May blaming herself for Uncle Ben's death. Awful. Yeah. And, there's bring stuff like that in where it's like this kind of spider god or something, and the spider chose Peter, and
see, I don't know where they're going with that. I haven't seen it enough, but I mean, part of me, I think it's fine if they wanted to do another story, but at the same time, if you start messing around with things that are already established, it's just
kind of goes weird.
Actually, it's funny because a couple of podcasts ago I mentioned that about the Avengers, how I didn't have any, like, even if it was just a cool smash 'em up type movie, I'd be okay with that. And afterwards I thought that goes against like every movie, opinion on movies that I have. I'm like, why would I say that? But it's funny because it made me realize that I didn't really even know the origin stories of the Avengers and stuff. Like I didn't have a preconceived idea of what it should be going into it.
Yeah.
Whereas with like something like Spider-Man or Batman or Superman or any of that stuff, I know I know the origin stories, and like especially like something like Spider-Man that I have invested so much of my childhood and everything, reading all the stuff, and I like it, like it so much. The origin story is so cool that you start messing with that, it just it irks me. But with the Avengers, I didn't really know. I didn't really have that kind of thing. So kind of made me realize how, like, say, the normal person who hasn't read the Spider-Man comics, maybe they'll go into the movies and be like, yeah, that was awesome, because they don't,
Yeah, well,
they never read the
but
comics.
here's the thing for me is when I went to see Iron Man, the very first
Yeah.
movie, and I didn't really know too much about Iron Man's backstory. I never read the first issues.
Yeah.
But the movie blew me away. How he's in the cave and he got the shrapnel and he's builds the armor and fights all the guys. So I went back and actually found that comic, and it's very close. Like the spirit of it is there, and
well,
you
they
can
did
see
a
how
great
it
job.
translates.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
they did a great job with that. I don't know why they don't stick with that with the Spider-Man stuff. Like they did a great job with these movies and how they connect and all that stuff. But Spider-Man seems to be its own little thing that they just keep changing and rewriting things. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it fit in the same world? I don't even know if are they making it fit in the same world. It doesn't seem like
what?
it.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
No, that's all. They don't have the rights to it, so it's Marvel Studios that are doing all the Marvel movies.
Oh,
But,
that's why.
what's that? Columbia and Sony or whoever it is owns the
so
rights to the Spider-Man movie. And I thought it would have been so much fun if they could have done a nod to Spider-Man in the movie. Where all these guys are, the aliens are invading, everybody's getting killed. It would have been such a nice nod if you had like some webs, into the buildings, and as if Spider-Man's in New York while this is happening, and he's doing his own part on the side. He's not in the movie, but just a nod to him somehow would have been so nice. It would have been a nice touch.
Yeah, I'm sure
I love that
legally
kind of
they
stuff.
could.
Well, probably,
I'm sure legally
which
they
is
couldn't
sad.
do it.
Like, I don't understand this stuff. You have a powerhouse like Disney that now owns all these characters, but you can't get a little nod in there.
Right.
It's crazy.
I don't know. Maybe they could have. Maybe they didn't want to. I don't know. Who knows? But
with this movie, I thought the smartest thing they did was get Joss Whedon to direct it, because he's worked for Marvel Comics as a writer. He knows the characters inside out, and it shows through the whole movie. Like, there's so many different nods to the. Like, I love the fact that he managed to find a way to have Tony Stark have a drink there when he's talking with Loki. It's just a nice touch. Like, that's what I want to see, because there's so much of the character. And they touched on the Black Widow and the whole super spy and the Russia connection and all that kind of thing. One biggest problem with the movie was the beginning, where Hawkeye kept missing. His one superpower is he never misses.
When did he miss?
When he was going after the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. What's her name? Mariah Hill. And he was driving, and she's driving, and this is after Loki stabbed him.
Oh, and he was missing her. Yeah.
So they're getting a gunfight. I'm thinking, Hawkeye's missing. He should never miss. And my no prize answer for why he was missing is maybe he's under the alien or the demigod influence of Loki, which is maybe messing up his aim. So I set myself a no prize for that.
Yeah.
But that was my one big complaint. You've read The Ultimates, right? By Mark Miller and Brian Hitch?
Yeah.
Remember that scene where they come in to kill Hawkeye in the kitchen? And he said something about, it's like, this is the wrong place for you to be attacking me, right? And he just pulls out all the utensils and starts throwing them at people, and like knives in their eyes and all this kind of stuff. For me, that was one of the best Hawkeye moments ever, where he realized, like, oh yeah, I guess this guy is kind of dangerous. And they had, I think, was that in The Ultimates where they had him fly the jet, and he ended up like shooting the missile? It was almost like Luke Skywalker in the Death Star, shooting the torpedo down the exhaust tube to blow up.
I don't. It's been a while since I read that. I'm not sure.
We'll have to research that.
That doesn't sound familiar, but it could have been. Yeah, I'm not sure. I read the Ultimates kind of in pieces too, because I was buying them a little after it came out. So, but I don't know. I don't remember.
But when it came to the alien invasion, then you start seeing Hawkeye making all the shots. So that made me happy.
Yeah. No.
Some people complained about Black Widow fighting the aliens with the two little guns. Hulk and Thor shooting lightning.
She's got little
stuff,
guns.
and she's got the two little pea shooter guns. But I love that. To me, it
didn't bother me
how much out of her league she is in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I thought that.
Well, that's what you do notice, that Hawkeye and Black Widow do seem a little out of their league,
which is awesome.
It didn't bother me at all, because they handled it really well, I thought.
That's what always bothered me with any sort of Superman-Batman team-up. I always hate those. Got this guy who's a power of a god, And this guy who's dressing up like a bat.
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I just dress like a bat. And DC
That's
always
actually
does that.
Yeah. The Hulk versus Batman crossover. That was awesome. That was awesome. Because it's like, Batman going up against the Hulk. I mean,
well, Batman always works best
wits
when it's a crossover. Yeah.
Wits against brawn. And
the best Batman Superman was in Dark Knight, where it's old Batman versus old Superman, and he gets the kryptonite suit.
Oh, and
that was pretty amazing. Yeah. But normally those things always bother me.
Yeah, well, I always thought that even as a kid watching Super Friends, I'm kind of like, why doesn't Superman just do everything?
Yeah,
he can fly faster than the Flash, and he does. Aquaman, what does he do? And Superman, it's like really they just need Superman. I mean,
and that's what was good about the Avengers is because every character had a moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of thought that with the Avengers too. It's like you got Thor. I mean, what do you gotta? He's a friggin' god for crying out loud, But they handled it really well the way it all worked out.
And I love how
because having Loki as the bad guy. I mean, because at first I was like Loki, really, but really you need something that's powerful enough to that Thor couldn't just smash.
And especially because it was already established in the Thor movie. Have you seen that yet?
Yes. No, I haven't. I only watched Captain America before. Well, I saw Iron Man and Captain America before.
Because in the Thor movie, they start off basically on the same team. So they're brothers, and they're fighting together, and they're trying to stop the frost giants and all this kind of stuff. And you see Loki slowly go evil.
Oh, cool.
And so he kind of betrays everybody, and by the end, he's the big bad guy. And then at the very end of the movie, how Marvel always has the secret ending.
Yeah.
It shows him going after the cosmic cube.
So so they did have the cube. I was wondering what they had, because I'm glad I watched Captain America before, because I was all about the cube. So at least I had that set up going into it. But they handled it really, really well. I don't know if I don't know if I've seen a superhero movie that's kind of had that. Like you were saying, Dark Knight, they're awesome, but is that what it's called? The first Dark Knight and Dark Knight Returns, or what are the Batman ones? The Christopher Nolan Batman ones?
I don't remember. Dark Knight something or other.
Dark Knight and I don't know, whatever they are. Rising, I don't know, Dark Knight, right? Whatever they are. Anyways, those are great movies, but yeah, I didn't walk away feeling that like, wow, this is amazing. Just maybe because how dark they were, or I don't know. Batman, the body armor, it just didn't feel like a superhero.
It felt more like a spy movie to me.
Yeah, it's just, which I love, but I want to see some color. I know Batman's dark, but show me some blue.
And for the Avengers, I loved how they used all the superpowers, too. They did everything to maximum effect. Like, Iron Man was doing cool stuff with the armor. Captain America did a shield thing. Thor went up on the Chrysler building, firing lightning bolts and spinning his hammer around and shooting through the air. And they did the classic thing where the heroes fight each other before they team up.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things. It can go really cheesy, but in this case, it didn't. It was awesome. I loved the whole Iron Man versus Thor and the Hulk versus Black Widow. All that stuff was amazing.
Yeah,
I love how Captain America had to break them up and did the whole super soldier thing.
Yeah. That's good. Good stuff. I think the last movie I felt like that when I left, seeing like from the theater, was The Incredibles. I think that was the last movie I kind of left thinking like charged up.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to be a superhero. I want to. I remember leaving The Incredibles and seeing these little kids. It must have been 5 at the time, 5 or 6. So I didn't have. It was. I think my kids were too young at that time to take them there, but seeing these little kids like 5 or 6, and they were like running up and down the ramp really fast to like the wheelchair ramp in and out of the theater, trying to be dashed and stuff. And like,
well, that's a good how the kids named.
That's a good. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, where our cat's grown up. Roscoe Pico trade when our cat had. What do we name them? Spider-Man, Roscoe Pico Train.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids.
Yeah, what a horrible names. I hope they got new names when they got.
No way, those are all of them are classic.
They are. They were good.
I tried to get my son to name his guinea pig Nick Fury. Like,
oh, really?
But it's a girl. Doesn't matter. Because he's got the
Mickey.
ring around the eye, so it looks like he's got the eye
does it?
Nice. You go for it. Remember when I was working at Tippett Studio, they named the praying mantis that they had on the desk Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, no. I like that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I should point out, because I think last time we screwed it up because we didn't know where it was being animated, but I know a bunch of the shots were animated at Weta. And actually an old buddy of mine that I worked on the dinosaurs and Hellboy on, Aaron Gilman, he worked on that. So.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Aaron. Good job.
Right on. Yeah. No, I was thinking, like as a kid, do you remember what would be one of the movies that kind of had that kind of impact on you as a kid? That's like burned in your brain. We talked about it a little bit last podcast.
We talked about Star Wars. Ghostbusters. Star Wars. That one.
Oh, yeah.
Is totally burned into my head.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it up at the cottage.
Is it a specific scene or?
No, the whole thing. Like everything about it. The demon dogs and the Slimer and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like all that stuff is completely burned into my mind.
That's great.
Spaceballs.
I was gonna say that was one of mine. See that we saw that up at the cottage too, right, on a rainy day. Seeing Spaceballs, I was gonna say that was one that was burned into my brain. I think I had that whole movie memorized at one point.
Yeah, I remember that.
After we had it on VHS tape.
Yeah, we used to ride my bike to school and recite it with my friends. Keep firing, assholes!
Sorry, sir. He's my cousin. Yeah. No, I think, I recently let my kids watch that one, too. My daughter got all the jokes. I think my son, he just thought it was a cool movie. I don't think he got all the that it was supposed to be retarded. But I can't say that, can I? No.
So what about you for movies?
What's that?
The ones that
what other
stick
movies?
into your head, from being young and going to see it.
Well, Spaceballs was one of them. Empire Strikes Back. That was like the most.
Star Wars is a gift
ever.
Yeah.
Let's see what things I remember. I remember driving home after watching E.T. in the back of the station wagon. Actually, I remember a few different movies. We'd always, we had the old station wagon. And we'd always be sitting in the back. And I remember after E.T. driving home, and I remember after Empire Strikes Back having a conversation where me and you were talking. We were like, "Is Han Solo dead? Was he dead?" And I remember Dad from the front. He's like, he wasn't dead. He was frozen. It's like, I think he was dead. Did Han Solo die? He's like, he wasn't dead. He didn't die. And just being just totally obsessed with that whole what happened to Han Solo.
Yeah.
After that,
I remember getting into it with it's like, there's no way that Darth Vader is Luke's father. It can't be. Obi-Wan Kenobi wouldn't lie.
Yeah.
All that. But then it turns out that he did lie, and Vader is the father, and Leia is the sister, and C-3PO is the adopted brother.
Well, those didn't happen. Those ones didn't happen. That's just you dreamt the new ones. That didn't happen. Don't let it have happened, please. No, I mean,
these are like Phantom Menace.
No. Horrible. Just horrible. Oh, George, what happened? It's funny with those ones is that, with the whole thing, there's interviews of him talking about Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back with George Lucas, and he says all the things that made them cool.
Yeah.
He talks about them, saying, the key is in the sets and paying attention to these things, and and the whole, fantasy elements in the story and all this stuff. And the new ones, it's like he should have watched those interviews over again or something, or had sticky notes reminding him.
One thing that's interesting with listening to all the old things is to get guys like Harrison Ford say, it's like, I don't know what he's doing with the script. I mean, you can write it on paper, but you can't say it. So constantly they were like rewriting lines and trying new things and like the whole thing.
Yeah.
I love you too. That's not working. Okay, just do what Han Solo would do. And then you get a classic line. Yeah. But I think with the new ones, it's just nobody's saying no. Nobody's questioning. Like at that point, he's got so much clout that, whereas with Darth Vader, Ralph McQuarrie designed him that way because he's like, well, this is a spaceman, so obviously he needs a space helmet.
Yeah.
But nowhere in the script did it say he was wearing, the skull samurai mask. That was all Ralph McQuarrie.
Yeah.
So you get all these
other guys. Didn't they have early designs where he looked like kind of like the new Jedi, like the new movies where he was just like a guy in a...
Well, that was the idea, yeah. He was supposed to just like Count Dooku or Doku or...
Yeah.
Saruman.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just supposed to be a guy with a cloak, and Ralph McQuarrie made that character. So it really depends on the team, which actually gets into some interesting stuff with all these ideas. Back to what we were discussing the other podcasts, where, sure, you create an idea, but then who really created Darth Vader? Was it George Lucas because he wrote down the name, or was it Ralph McQuarrie because he designed him? Because that
or was it
design created the voice, because if you didn't have the breathing out...
Oh, yeah.
Like, that never would have happened without the design.
Yeah.
So,
and the voice, everything. Yeah, it's interesting with those things when you get teams, because really everyone has contributed, right? So and then even you get into the whole, Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. It's like, is it the people who invented the characters and the origin story, or is it all the years of what's happened with the character? I don't know. You have so many people involved in it, it just morphs into something totally different. So, I don't know.
Have you seen...
I mean, what's that?
Go ahead, finish your thought.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I'm pondering this, but obviously I would still go with Jack Kirby created, all these guys. The guy who came up with whoever came up with the origin and the costume, and in some cases it's two different people. Some cases it's, I think if someone says, hey, let's do something about a spider, a guy with spider stuff, and then someone comes and creates a character out of that, I think the guy who actually designed the character and the origin and the costumes and all that stuff designed it.
Did you see that article from the Kirby Museum where Kirby claimed that he created Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Like, that's the really interesting case, because, I mean, it's kind of already been established, like, where Stanley himself has admitted that he'll take any credit that isn't nailed down. Like, so he said that before. And then they were saying, well, in this article it says, and to your knowledge, was the idea for Spider-Man something that Kirby brought to you based on his previous work on something called The Fly? And Stanley said no. But, I mean, that would kind of make sense, where if Kirby was working on The Fly, he brought it to Stanley's attention, he decided instead of a fly, let's do a spider. And then Kirby did the original drawing for the first Spider-Man.
Yeah, which looked like Captain America.
Yeah, with webgun, and we'll show that on screen if anybody hasn't seen that before. And then it was passed over to Ditko, who did the redesign, and then added all the other elements that created the Spider-Man that we know today. So it's an interesting process, where I don't think any of this would have happened with just one person, right?
Yeah.
And all three of them have contributed. But then the sad thing is that guys like Kirby and Ditko don't see anything from all this stuff that they've created. So it's just like gobbled up by the corporation. So you get an Avengers movie out in the theaters making, almost $1 billion.
Now, what's that? In one of those articles, I mean, Stan Lee's saying now he is claiming he hasn't really gotten any ownership out of the characters either. He just still gets paid a salary. And he's like, yeah, I get a good salary, but I don't get profits
which is
of things.
probably true.
Which is, yeah. So he, even Stan Lee, he just kind of stuck around and he negotiated good salaries and stuff. But he's still, I mean, the corporation, Marvel, whatever, that is, they're still, they're taking everything, right? Even though Stan Lee's name's on it. I mean, he was smart to be able to associate himself with that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, to make it so his name was associated with Marvel. So the only reason his name's on there, not because he had any credit creating these characters, it's just because he's associated with it and the name Stan Lee sells.
Yeah.
Right? So really that's, I mean, when it comes down to it, but I thought it was interesting too that Kirby said that he created the costume in that one interview too.
But in a sense, he kind of did. He created the first costume. I mean,
But that's nothing like the finished one, right? So.
But in the context of the conversation, and I actually like all this stuff because I love detective stories.
Yeah,
This is why I love conspiracies and all this kind of thing, and I like writing my Spy Guy comic because it's all about this kind of stuff where you're trying to go through the smoke screen and deceptions and trying to find all the clues and that leads you to the truth.
Different points of view and
So all that kind of stuff's fascinating. But he never specifically said I created that costume with the webs. He was going off on a rant about all the ideas that he didn't get credit for that was stolen, and he threw that one out there in the mix because he kind of did. He did draw the first Spider-Man, even if it's not the one that was actually used, and he did draw the first cover, and
he drew the cover, but the covers were probably not done before the comic.
That's what I would think.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It is a hodgepodge of different ideas and creators and stuff. Obviously, some brought to the table a lot more than others, but yeah, it's interesting. That's why I've always shied away from collaborations with things. Like there's so much messiness that could be involved, right? Like with comics, it's like, well, I'll just do my own comic and I'll write it and draw it and ink it and do everything right now. Maybe in the future it'll get more complicated, but I'm not rushing into partnerships, right?
Well, that's part of the
right
reason
now.
why I wanted to create that character with David Brandstetter in the Spy Guy Strawman crossover, the Psychedelic Tangerine.
Yeah.
Because I figure if we're going to do a crossover, and we've both read up on all of Dave Sims' thoughts on all this kind of thing, so we're kind of coming from the same perspective. But I thought it would be interesting to create a throwaway character and go through that experiment.
Oh, yeah. Hold on 1 sec.
Let's all go to the lobby. So, yeah, for Stan Lee, it was Martin Goodman, who he was related to.
I think I didn't have video. My camera was off. I don't know what's going on there.
Wow.
This might be a solo podcast for you. Technical difficulties on the Possum Press end.
You get to animate your face.
Oh, God, no. Don't make me do that. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I won't know what I have until we actually.
Are you up and recording now?
What's that? I'm recording right now. Yeah.
Good.
So we'll see what happens. See what happens there.
So
I don't know.
What was Martin Goodman's relation to Stan Lee? Was he like
Martin?
Was it uncle or
uncle or something?
That's what I think it was.
Was he his uncle? Yeah, I think it was.
I'm trying to find that, but
for the purpose of this conversation, he's an uncle.
Yeah.
A step. He's his father and his sister.
No.
And he actually. He was actually a robot.
No.
He built Stan Lee.
So what do you think? Any other thoughts on Avengers?
Oh, God.
What was your favorite moment on the film?
Favorite moment? Well, I tell you, when the Hulk smashed through that building and jumped through the window and then got that big serpent flying thingy.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
where it's coming towards the people and he came running through. That was a cool looking moment. I don't know if it's my favorite moment of the film, but that was a really cool moment.
I gotta go with the puny god.
Yeah, well, that was.
I think that was the absolute highlight of it. I mean, there's so many good moments in it, but that one was pretty impressive. Probably my second favorite one is when the Avengers are all getting ready to fight, and Bruce Banner shows up on the motorcycle. Right, so they're downtown New York, and he just shows up on the motorcycle. And then you get that big whale alien creature coming towards him, and he just starts walking towards it. So you just see this, like, just this regular dude just walking up to fight this big monster, just not a concern in the world. That is such a classic shot.
Oh, so the Hulk did steal the show. All of our favorite moments.
He had a dumb moment. I hated it when he punched Thor.
It got a laugh, but.
It did get a laugh, but for me, it popped me out of the movie. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I didn't mind the idea of it, but I think it was kind of. It looked a little too thrown in.
Like, was it supposed to be like, "Hey, bro, we did it," or was it like, "I'm still in a rage and I'm just gonna punch"?
I took it as he's still in a rage, but maybe it was the "Hey, bro." That's why I don't think it was executed properly because it needed some sort of something that Thor did to provoke it, or some sort of
afterthought. If that was,
that's what it seemed.
Where they're standing, like there's, hey, you know, it'd be really funny. Let's do this.
Yeah, and they didn't have the actual live action footage to make it read properly, so they just kind of made it up, and I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what it felt like. It felt like it's something that was added in the animation stage that they kind of threw in.
Speaking of those moments as a child. I just remembered another one.
Yeah.
Was the old TV series of the Hulk. I remember Dad would be watching it, and I would sneak downstairs, and that show terrified me. So I would hide behind the couch.
Oh, the live action.
I would be hiding behind the couch. I'd be poking my head up and seeing the Hulk. So Lou Ferrigno just going,
oh, really?
And I'd be hiding back down because it was so scary.
The transformations with the cross dissolves and stuff?
Yeah.
Is that how they did it? They cross dissolved, like, then a little bit more, then a little bit more.
I think it was cutaways.
Didn't they? Or was it cutaways, like pieces of them? Or
I remember it right. Yeah, it was like they for the opening credits anyway. Remember you haven't seen the new Hulk movie, right?
No, I haven't.
That was one of my favorite parts. Is they basically recreated the old TV intro,
cool.
but in the movie. So it goes through that whole process just like the old TV show, which was really fun.
That's cool.
I love it when they do callbacks to stuff like that, where it brings back all the stuff that you remember and that's interesting, but then that twist on it. Like, that's the way you should update something, not like the stupid Michael Bay Alien Ninja Turtles or whatever the hell he's making.
Oh, yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Don't talk about those. Don't bring me down, man.
Okay.
But these bad remakes, that's horrible.
Well, that's why I appreciate the Avengers. I know Steve Bissett's been boycotting Marvel based on the lawsuit with the Kirby heirs and all that, and I totally understand where he's coming from for that kind of stuff. But for me, when something is done, like artistically, it's done right like this, like I have to appreciate that. I have to enjoy it because I've been waiting so long to see a movie like this, and then they finally created it. And it's interesting that it's got the reception that it has.
Yeah. Which is a pretty darn good reception. So, yeah.
You stick around for all the end credits? You see Thanos?
Yeah.
And apparently...
I forgot what his name was.
They showed the Infinity Gauntlet. And Thanos...
in Thor?
Yeah. So you see the Infinity Gauntlet. And now... There's that miniseries, super crossover thing with the Infinity Gauntlet. So I wonder if that's going to be Avengers too. I don't know. Like, they've definitely left the door open for something like that.
Yeah. Well, what did I think Eric Larson put on Twitter today that was it today? Right, one time that he was noticing from the comic shop that the copies of the Infinity Gauntlet were like flying off the shelves after the Avengers came out. Yeah, because everyone's like,
I'll have to read that again because I have all of them, and I wasn't that thrilled with it when it came out. It didn't interest me all that much, but I
Yeah, it's been a long time since I read them. So I thought about that too, cracking them open and reading them again, because it wasn't a memorable one for me when I read it back then. Like I mean that came out when all these different miniseries and stuff was coming out. We were buying so many different titles that it was kind of like you buy it just because it's going to be worth $1 million one day. Yeah. So I don't know. I have to read it again and just kind of appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, so. I don't know. How are we doing for time here?
So far, we got 40 minutes.
40 minutes? Is that our longest one yet?
It might be.
Wow.
Assuming all the recording's all working.
Although I have no idea what I got with video this one. It'll be interesting. We'll see what I won't know until I stop this thing. But yeah, I do tell you though, making a podcast is a lot easier than making a comic book.
It is. We're already on number 6.
Number 6, we've matched our. We're beating ourselves now for comics already. I think we need a rule that in order to do a podcast, we have to like pencil and ink one panel or something.
This will be the last
to do another
episode
podcast
of the Kitchen Bros comic book podcast. Yeah, no.
You're not planning on getting any panels inked? Come on.
I gotta start animating on Monday.
It's okay. Go Train. You got the Go Train.
Actually, yes. And I've got all new equipment. You know, I should do a little mini video about that. Making comics on the Go Train.
I tell you, possum number 1, it's almost entirely penciled on the Go Train. I tried inking on the Go Train. That doesn't work too well. It's a little bumpy. But penciling and scripting, I did almost the whole thing on the Go Train. Page a day. There and back. We got 2 hours to pencil it out. Yeah. So
we wrap it up?
So what do you say? I think so. I think it's time.
Right.
Anything we missed?
Avengers Assemble.
Oh! Rock and roll. I don't have any props. I have a pen. But need something.
All right. Kitchen Bros. Out.
There we go. See you around.
Okay.